The Jeep Gladiator is not just a truck. It's a statement about adventure for many people. Since its launch in 2019, the Jeep Gladiator has become a creative canvas where enthusiasts have transformed this rugged machine into incredible rock crawlers, durable overlanders, and even high-speed desert racers. While it may seem like every mod imaginable has been executed on this platform, I'm adding my unique twist to this adventure truck. My project goes beyond the ordinary. It's a personal mission to blend my passion for off-the-grid exploration and a nod to my military medical background while emphasizing the crucial role of first aid in the wild. This Gladiator is not just a truck to me. It's a reflection of who I am. Join me as I scout for the perfect desert backdrop to unveil the latest upgrades to my Gladiator. These new modifications are the result of countless hours of planning and hard work aimed at crafting a vehicle ready for epic journeys and a mission to promote life-saving skills. Stay tuned as I unveil what I've been up to and tease some exciting developments on the horizon. What an absolutely beautiful day out here in the desert. Clouds, a nice beautiful canyon. There's snow off in the distance. What a gorgeous day out here. Many of you guys have been asking for an update on Doc, my 2023 Jeep Gladiator. And today I'm going to tell you about all the work I've been doing and why I've made some of the decisions I've done. So let's start on the interior. All right, so I've made some really exciting changes in here. You can see there's a lot of red. But before I talk about those specifics and something I kind of need your help with in the rear, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is onX Off-Road. onX Off-Road Navigation Mapping System is a comprehensive and easy to use navigation system. Many of you know that over the last year, I've kind of been experimenting with different navigation systems and I really just haven't been satisfied. Well, onX Off-Road has a massive team behind it and they are constantly making updates to their system. I have been transferring my GPX files and all my waypoints over there, and over the process of doing that, there was a recent update where they have what's called guided trails, where they are trails that folks have gone out and collected information about how easy the terrain is or how difficult the terrain is. And there's a pretty extensive network of these guided trails. Well, recently they updated it so you could see the color of those trails, which is a really valuable tool for me because I like to come out here and just explore. Sometimes just work my way around and take a right and take a left. I can quickly look and see, oh, this is a guided trail and this is going to be an easy trail, no problem, or this is going to be extreme and maybe not one I want to tackle today. I think that that's a huge tool that a lot of folks are going to find very helpful. I'm very thankful for onX Off-Road to have sponsored this video, and they have offered you guys an opportunity to get 20% off your first year of onX Off-Road by using the code TrailRecon20. So go check them out, guys. I think you'll be super happy with using onX Off-Road. I know I am so far. All right, now let's talk about these seat covers. This is something new and different that I've never done before. These are bar tack seat covers, and I went on and did a custom set here. So this is all red with red stitching, and they stitched up the TrailRecon logo in there. There's lots of options. You can buy these ready to go out of the box, or you can customize them for the way you like. And that's what I think is so cool about the Jeep, is you can just tailor it how you want. I just wanted to go red on red, and I think it looks really good. They're very comfortable. You know, being out here in the desert in the heat, leather seats can get pretty hot. I love leather seats, but you get into a hot vehicle when it's 110 degrees out here and the seats are hot and you're wearing shorts, whew, you might get a little burn on your leg. And so I think these are going to be super nice to have. Plus, this Jeep didn't come with heated seats, and so I was able to add heated seat option to here. So there's a pad on the backside and on the bottom. It was easy to wire up and just put a little switch down there below the dash. And now I have heated seats, which is also going to be nice when I head up to the Arctic Ocean, and it's going to be cold even in the summertime. So pretty happy with these seats. One other thing that I like is they got all these MOLLE panels on the side, and I'm actually starting to really find this extremely useful, because normally like a radio like this is just sitting here in the cup holder bouncing around. Now I can put coffee in my cup holder, and I have a nice place to put that. So I'm pretty happy with these seats so far. They've been on here for a few weeks and they're very comfortable, and I like them a lot. Everything else in the front, the dash and all that, has pretty much been unchanged, although I did add my Utah patch. So I've got some patches going. We're gonna add a lot more patches here pretty quick. All right, let me hop in the back. There's something that I'm still kind of brainstorming, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on. All right, a few things here in the back I want to talk about. Now, I did take out the rear seats. We put in the goose gear system a couple months ago, and I put in a fridge over here, and this is 2 parts, right? One, so I can have some nice cold drinks on my trips, but 2, the trail aid station, when this is, in medical display mode to kind of help promote first aid, this could be a medicine fridge or a blood bank or something, I don't know. So I'm thinking about kind of doctoring this up a little bit, maybe put some graphics on there so it doesn't look like a typical fridge. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. And then over here, we have the TrailRecon first aid kit. So those will be coming out soon, guys. You can pre-order them now. But you can see I got them hanging off the MOLLE back here. And then I have, this is just my tire inflating system also hanging off the back here. So it's quick and easy to access. So I really do like those MOLLE. Okay, now here is something that I'm not quite sure is going to stay or if I'm going to use, just kind of brainstorming a little bit. So I am going to have a battery management system in here. And right now I have in this box, which I'll explain what this box is here in a second, is a Red Arc 150 amp hour lithium battery. And here, this is the Rogue TVMS system, which is going to help kind of manage some stuff. And so I just kind of put this in here, just playing around with this. So what this box is something that we actually built for a project a while back. This was going to go in the diesel and ended up not using it. But this is the whole purpose of this is to house a battery, and then on the lid here, you can actually mount, like the Rogue system and some of the other components to manage the battery. And then we can put the inverter up in here and just kind of keep it all enclosed and in one nice clean space, keep the wires short and clean. And so I haven't mounted this in here right now. This is just strapped in because I'm not really sure about this yet. If I do put it in here, I think I'm definitely going to mount it a little bit closer to the fridge to kind of free up some space over here. It's a really well-built system. Plus I put this little ball up here so I could actually have another mount for a camera. But originally, I was going to mount all the battery system in here because there's a ton of room in here, and I actually can put multiple batteries in here, where here I can only put one. However, once I get the bed cap on, if I wanted to move some stuff to the bed cap versus having them in here, I have an option of either moving this in there or keeping things in here and running wires there. I don't know. This is one of those things that I've just been sitting in the garage over coffee and just contemplating. I've been doing that a lot with this build. I'm really trying to take my time and think things through. So I'm not 100% sure I'm going to use this box, although I really like the idea. And I do like the idea of keeping this space for storage and not occupying it with batteries and wires and having to build out a plate system in here. I already got something ready to go. So I think I'm kind of answering my own question, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Look, there are plenty of Gladiator builds out there, and people have done some really, really great stuff. And so I think once the bed cap gets on, I'm going to make a hard decision, but I've been looking at a lot of other Gladiators. All right, what do you say we take a look at the outside, and I'll show you guys the really cool stuff I've been doing out there. I'll tell you what, guys, in about another 4 to 6 weeks, I'm not going to be able to do this. It's just going to be too hot out here. I love coming out to the desert in the summer, but not camping and just hanging out because it gets a little hot. All right, let's talk about this guy right here. This is the AEV snorkel, and I have never had a snorkel on one of my vehicles before. So why did I do it with this one? Well, one, I am definitely going to be doing some deep water crossings with this vehicle. There's some on the calendar that we're going to be hitting, and depending on what time of year we get there, maybe I don't want to suck any water into my engine. Plus, with a snorkel, you raise the intake up high and it allows you to breathe in cleaner and cooler air. And so I think just longevity with the engine and keeping the air filter clean, it's just going to be a very nice tool. Now, one thing I really like about the AEV snorkel is it fits up nice and tight with the A-pillar. And when I'm sitting in the driver's seat and I look across, I was wondering if this was going to kind of block my vision at all, and it does not at all. The only thing you see is just a little bit of the tip of the top of the snorkel, but all of this is concealed from your visibility by the A-pillar, which I really like how it's designed. It's a really good quality thing. Now, I did drill and cut a hole in a perfectly good hood, and that was a little nerve-wracking, but I measured about 20 times and only cut once. So it didn't take me about a few hours to get the install done, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's a very clean look. Now, on the front of the Jeep, you will see we got a whole new face going on. So this is the AEV full width bumper, and I love the look of this bumper. It's exactly what I kind of envisioned when I was thinking about building this Gladiator. I wanted that full width look to give me some extra protection, but the great thing about this bumper is you still have lots of clearance underneath in the front tires, and so I think getting up obstacles with this bumper is not going to be an issue. The other thing I like is it's just got some nice styling to it because they hot stamp the boron steel, and it gives it this nice contour. It looks factory. In fact, it looks so factory that these things are actually crash test safety rating because they put these on OEM vehicles, and so it just looks good. It's a good quality bumper, and I'm really happy with it. Now, I did go with the Overland Vehicles SCAR 12,000 pound winch on the front, and the reason I went with 12,000 pounds is because I'm towing a trailer, and so if I find myself in a situation where I need to really pull myself and I've got the trailer, I need as much pulling power as possible, and so that's why I went with the 12,000 pound. Normally I would probably be just fine with the 10,000 pound winch, but I went a little bit bigger this time. Also on front, I have the KC Flex Era 4 lights with the amber covers. This is a little custom mount that I did. I had some mounts in my garage and I was just playing around with stuff and was bending some metal to get it to kind of fit nice. I'm probably going to redo this. These are a little thin, and so I want something a little more stout. You can mount some lights up here. The AEV offers a custom kit with their AEV lights, but I was, sticking with my guys over at KC, and so that's why I mounted the KC lights. And so I'm not sure if I will mount them underneath here or I will just get a little bit stouter mount, but I'm pretty happy with the whole look of the front. I think it looks exactly how I envisioned it. Now, one other thing I did with the suspension is I did upgrade the steering dampener because when you lift your vehicle, you put bigger tires on there, that stock dampener is just not gonna be stout enough. And I actually was doing some squeeze tests with the stock one versus this one. You could tell there's a significant difference with this one. And I'm telling you right now, the way this thing drives down the road, I am so happy with all the decisions I've made on this tire and wheel combination, the suspension, everything is working perfectly. All right, let's talk about what's going on the roof. All right, as you can see, the roof line has changed. I installed the Rhino Rack platform with the backbone system. This is very similar to the one I installed on the 392. It's just shorter. So instead of 3 feet, it has 2, and I'm still able to take the Freedom panels off and the entire roof can come off. It's just a little heavier. Internally, it has what's called the backbone system. So there's some internal structures in there that gives this thing plenty of support, so you can put a lot of weight up there. Now, I don't intend to put a lot of weight up there. I'm primarily going to have the light bar, which I will talk about here in a second. I'm going to put a solar panel up there to manage that red arc system to keep things powered up when we're stationary. And I'm also thinking about putting a Starlink system up there. And so I'm actually maybe one small case up there if there's room, but primarily it's going to be for solar and Starlink. Now, up front, I have installed the KC Flex Era 50-inch light bar with the amber covers, and this thing is insanely bright. It's crazy, and I actually love how it looks. The flush mount using the Rhino Rack mounts Just keeps everything so clean up there. I'm really, really happy with that. Now, I'm probably gonna black out some of these chrome mounts, but that's easy enough to do. But I really am very happy with the way that light bar looks, how low profile that roof rack is. It's gonna be a huge asset. Now, I wired that light bar up through the roof. It's kind of temporary. I'm gonna do some rewiring, but as I get the solar panel up there, the Starlink, oh, and I'm also probably gonna put some scene lights here as well. Once I get all that up there, then I will really spend some quality time kind of cleaning up the wires. But right now, I'm just using a little grommet through the roof, a little gland to keep things nice and clean. So more to come on the roof rack, but pretty happy with how it sits right now. Okay, something else that some folks have kind of been giving me a hard time about, and that is my mud flaps. And look, I've never installed mud flaps on my Jeep either, but for this vehicle, it just made sense. And I know that's just not something people like to put on Jeeps, but the cool thing about these mud flaps is there's just a couple thumb screws. I can pull these off and throw them in the truck bed. But I did make a change after the Nevada trip I was just on, because I was running the standard size mud flaps front and rear. These are from a company called Rockbox. I opted to get the larger one after the Nevada trip because there was still quite a bit of mud on the front of the trailer. And so these ones are just a couple inches wider and a couple inches longer. And we'll see next time I go out, hopefully that will keep the mud off the trailer, because over the next year, I'm gonna be using that trailer a lot. And the last thing I wanna do is roll up to camp and just be getting muddy hands. And if I can prevent at least some of that, hopefully this will help. Now, underneath here, and you probably heard it in the last video, I've got the MagnaFlow Overland exhaust for the Jeep Gladiator, and I love the tone of it. I'm a car guy, and so I like my cars to sound kind of throaty and aggressive, and so upgrading the exhaust on the Gladiator was something I was really excited about. And look, it has what's called their no drone technology, and you can swap out these little muzzles on the muffler to kind of tailor it to the way you like it. But driving down the freeway, it's pretty quiet. It's just when you step on the gas, let you know it's there. It's really nice. And so you get better performance, reduced my weight, and I have more ground clearance. So it's tucked up nice and away. Now, something to keep in mind when you are modifying your vehicle, sometimes certain modifications don't work with other modifications, because manufacturers typically make the parts for their vehicles just to go with the vehicle, not to work with everybody else's stuff. Well, these mud flaps have a bracket that attaches to the frame, and well, it didn't work with the new MagnaFlow exhaust, which now sits up a little bit higher. So I had to do a little bit of custom work to make that all fit together. So just something to think about as you start modifying your vehicle. You may run into a situation where one manufacturer part doesn't work with another one, and you might have to kind of customize it. It's not the manufacturer's fault. Okay. On the back here, one other thing that I did, and look, this is something that folks have been doing for a while. It was just something that I wanted to do and kind of put my own twist on it, is there's a red reflector in here. It's not a light, it's a reflector. And I took those out so I could install some dust lights. So these are a KC Cyclone with the amber cover. And all I did was use the reflector as a template and traced out on a piece of metal using that reflector, and then drilled holes, cut it out, and then just painted it black and installed it right to where that reflector was, and then wired up those KC lights. The cool thing about the Cyclones is they're on the S-Pod switch, which allows me to either have them on constant, I can put them on flash, or I can put them on strobe. So I really like those. Now, when you're talking about a dust light, it's actually better to have a dust light up high. And so ultimately, I think once the bed cap gets here and we get things mounted, I will probably put some dust lights up high as well. But I really like how these sit and look right now. So pretty happy with those. All right, a few other things to talk about, some that I've already done, and then a bunch that I'm getting ready to do. So underneath, you can see I've got some red differential covers, and that's just to give a little bit of extra strength there. Plus, they're red. It just looks cool with the red and white theme that we're going to be doing. But I do have an appointment with my buddy Jerry over at Shift Auto Works next week, and we're going to be installing 488 gears. And I will tell you, coming back from Nevada in a headwind, towing that trailer, the Jeep was not happy. It was searching for gears, and it just needs that different gear ratio. And I think 4/8 is going to be perfect, so I'm excited to do that. Now, I am leaving for Easter Jeep Safari a week after I get it installed, so I've got to hurry up and get those gears broken in, swap out the oil, and then head to Easter Jeep Safari. So I got a lot to do in the next week. Also, down below here on the bumper, I didn't mention, but there is the AEV skid plate. That's also some nice protection and peace of mind. In the front there's an opening for a 20-inch light bar, and AEV tells you specifically what light bar will fit in there. Well, I have a Casey Highlights 20-inch light bar that I was putting in there, and it fits width-wise, but it's a thick light bar, and it was actually hitting the box for the sway bar disconnect. So I wasn't able to install that. Not that I need the extra light because I have a ton of light, but it would be kind of cool to fill that hole. So if I had the Mojave or the Overland or the Sport Edition, I wouldn't have that big box where the sway bar disconnect is, and the light bar would have probably fit no problems. So I don't know. I'll play around with that a little bit and we'll see how it goes, but pretty happy with that skid plate. It just looks good and it's going to give some nice protection. And speaking of protection, I already have in the garage a full belly Artec skid plate system that's going to go on here. I don't know if that will be on before Moab, but it's going to be some nice peace of mind having that system in here. And then there is quite a bit of other stuff that I'm going to be doing. I have an alternator that we're going to be upgrading because this Jeep did not come with the auxiliary Mopar system, so I don't have the heavy duty alternator. And so because I'm going to be charging the battery that's going to be in the Jeep, plus I have to charge the battery when I'm towing in the trailer, I need an alternator that's going to keep up, and so I'm going to go above and beyond what the heavy-duty alternator would have been in this anyway, and so that is an upgrade that I'll be doing as well. And then hopefully the bed cap will be on here in just a couple weeks, and then the build's really going to start to transform because then we can start figuring out storage, more roof rack system, a lot of the medical stuff will start to come into play, but right now, I'm really, really happy with the foundation of this Jeep. I have spent so much time in the garage just sitting there with a cup of coffee thinking and planning, and it's all starting to come to reality, and I am super happy with it. This Gladiator is a different kind of build than I've done in the past, but genuinely, I have never had this much fun about the process. Every modification, every upgrade, and every personal touch is truly making this vehicle uniquely mine. These upgrades are not just about enhancing performance or aesthetics. They're ultimately about preparing for the unknown adventures that lay ahead, embracing the spirit of exploration, and making memories that last a lifetime. With this Gladiator, I know I'll be ready for the miles of difficult terrain ahead. I'm excited about the upcoming adventures, the uncharted paths, and the stories to yet be told. Stay tuned, because my adventure with this Jeep is just beginning.